On the other hand, Jun was sulking in his dressing room, not wanting to watch Chai kiss someone else. Meanwhile, Jun's representative received a call, and it seemed like a unique opportunity for Yun. Jun explained that Yun had been invited to a celebrity talk show, and it would be a great time to promote the drama. Yun never felt comfortable on these types of shows, but when he was told that Jun would also be attending, he agreed, wanting to get back at him. Meanwhile, Gina was texting Yun, hoping to see him that night. That evening, Yun went to meet her. Their relationship seemed very close, and she was excited to spend time with him, even after traveling so far. She hoped to stay in Korea as an influencer. But the worst part was that she knew Yun's secret and asked if he had ever consumed human blood. Back at home, Chai was thinking about Yun, even seeing him on TV. She was deep in thought and finally accepted that she liked him, but she wasn't sure how he felt about her. She worried that her feelings might ruin the beautiful and special connection they had, so she decided to hide her feelings, at least until she no longer needed his help. Suddenly there was a knock at the door, and to her surprise it was her little vampire Yun who had come to bite her. After the bite, he told her that he had something to share and wanted to be the one to tell her before she found out from someone else. This left Chai shocked. The thing was, he had gone on the talk show to get back at Jun for mistreating her. He remembered that morning at the recording set of the talk show, where Yun was getting a drink. He overheard some men talking badly about Chai, saying that she had always been behind Jun, and even suggesting she could be his mistress. They spoke so poorly of her that Yun couldn't stand it anymore. He stormed into the men's bathroom and confronted them, but just in time, Jun arrived and stopped Yun before he did something reckless. They were now ready for the interview, and the host started by asking Jun about his relationship with Sarah. In his arrogant manner, Jun replied that they had known each other since high school, and that when they realized their feelings were mutual, they decided to take the risk and be together. He added that he was very happy with her. What a liar. Everyone found it sweet the way he spoke. Suddenly, Yun asked for permission to say something. He began by saying that hearing Jun speak so confidently gave him the courage to confess something. He revealed that a long time ago he had confessed his feelings to a girl, and now he finally had the courage to openly declare it to everyone. His representative was on the verge of a heart attack, and the presenters were thrilled. They eagerly asked who this girl was and what her name was. Yun mentioned her name and thanked her for reciprocating his feelings. He then openly declared that he loved her, and today he was sharing this with Chai. Chai had only just learned of this and thought she would be upset, but instead she was happy. She realized that, with Yun's confession, their meetings would be easier, and it felt even better knowing she was in love with him. At that moment, Yun received a call, and it was from Gina. He didn't answer, but when he saw it was his representative, he picked up. Chai, feeling jealous, began to worry that the more she fell for him, the more broken her heart would be in the end. The next day, on the recording set, everyone was excited to hear about Yun and Chai. They were surprised, but what hurt them most was seeing Leon, completely devastated. Later, Yun ran into Leon, who was embarrassed. He confessed that, since he didn't know Yun and Chai were together, he had asked Yun for help to go out with Chai. But that was all in the past. Leon still wanted to know if Chai knew he was a vampire, but before he could ask, they were interrupted. A few days later, the celebrity talk show aired on TV, and Chai was watching it at home with Yun. She was so excited, and when she heard Yun's confession, for a moment she felt his love was so genuine. Everything he said was true. He had been a fan of hers since she was a child. As he mentioned this, Yun remembered his childhood. When he was a boy, he had arrived in a small town in the middle of nowhere. Everyone ignored him, and his parents fought over where they had settled. At school, he was teased for being so pale. But despite this, he became popular with the other children, which led to problems with the school bullies. One day, they pushed him around and ruined all of his things, and Yun, in response, pushed them back. Just as the children were about to hit Yun, an elderly lady appeared and defended him, causing the children to run away. Yoon asked her where she lived, and since it was far, he hoped she would allow him to accompany her home. She invited him to eat and gave him clean clothes, which happened to be her granddaughter's. She was lonely, and Yoon quickly became a dear friend to her, visiting regularly. Over time, he became her adopted grandson. One day, the elderly lady learned that Chai would visit her for a few days. Being a little younger than Yoon, she hoped they would get along. However, things didn't go as expected. Chai was quite territorial at first, but as time passed, Yoon noticed she was suffering because her mother hadn't come to see her. He began to look at her differently, and slowly, they started getting along. They played together, and Chai even admired Yoon for his great abilities. One day, Yoon got into trouble with the boy who always teased him. Seeing this, Chai defended him fiercely. Yoon, feeling the need for protection, asked her to marry him, promising to treat her well. Chai had always shined for him, just as she did when she was younger. But this beautiful story didn't have a happy ending. One afternoon, as usual, Yoon arrived to visit the elderly lady, only to find she had passed away, likely due to the depression she had fallen into. His sister suggested he travel abroad to study and even stay with a friend, so he did. During his time abroad, he met Gina, his sister's friend. But his thoughts were always with Chai and his grandmother, and at least now he had Chai by his side. The next day on the set, Chai was in the bathroom when Don, the jealous one, arrived. She told Chai she was worried about her, saying Yoon seemed too good for her, that venomous snake. Chai, however, responded that Don should be more careful with her words, since they could be seen as looking for a fight. This made Don angry. Chai left the bathroom and saw Yoon, who immediately smiled and affectionately caressed her cheek, calling her princess. Don, witnessing this, grew even more furious. But Yoon, happily, told Chai that he missed her, and before she could say anything more, he led her to the dressing rooms. There, he told her she didn't have to try so hard in her acting. They could just pretend to be together. He then showed her how he had her name saved in his phone, complete with little heart emojis. He asked her to do the same for him. Afterward, he asked to take a picture together so he could keep it on his phone. They looked so happy together. Meanwhile, Jin and Sera were having dinner at a restaurant. She didn't understand why he had suddenly invited her, but of course, it was all part of his fake couple act to continue drawing attention, since his plan to garner fame in the tabloids had failed. They were overshadowed by Yoon. Nevertheless, they had to keep up the facade for the sake of appearances. Jin still doubted that Chai had chosen Yoon over him, which Sera found perfectly reasonable. On the other side, Chai was waiting for Yoon at his house, watching a drama. She began imagining herself married to Yoon, enjoying their honeymoon. But her daydreams were interrupted by the doorbell. When she opened it, she was surprised to find Gina standing there. Gina happily introduced herself as Yoon's old friend. Chai, confused, asked who she was, and Gina explained. They chatted for a bit, and Gina mentioned she wanted advice from Yoon because their mothers were friends. Then, with a sweet smile, Gina told Chai she looked like a doll. Chai thanked her, and Gina appeared to be a kind woman. But she soon left, and shortly after, Yoon arrived, surprised when Chai told him she had just been visited by Gina. After their brief chat, Yoon, eager, bit Chai, and after doing so, she yearned for a kiss but was too shy. She stepped away for a moment, and when she returned, Yoon was asleep on the couch, looking so sweet. Chai, thinking about it, wondered if Gina had been Yoon's first love, someone he couldn't forget. She asked him if he still liked his first love, and half asleep, he mumbled that seeing her again made him like her even more. A week later, Yoon had to leave for work, but called Chai to tell her he would be back soon to bite her again. Meanwhile, Yoon had a photo shoot, looking incredibly handsome. On the other hand, Chai was reviewing the nominees for the Golden Dragon Awards, which were about to take place. But as Yoon's photo shoot continued, a loud noise startled everyone. The weather was getting worse, and when they reached the airport, they found out the flights had been cancelled due to the storm. Yoon was anxious and needed to see Chai. With no other option, he called Ji-son, who was enjoying a vacation. The only person who could help Chai now was Leon. Later, at the Golden Dragon Awards, Chai prepared in her dressing room. Out of nowhere, the headache returned. Chai wanted to feel better, but on the other hand, Yun, who had already asked Leon for a favor, finally arrived and was shocked to find that Chai was already being bitten by Leon. Chai woke up as if she had been asleep and was surprised to see Leon, but something felt unreal. When Leon bit her, she didn't remember it, but now, when he did it again, she recalled everything. Suddenly, Chai saw Yoon and Leon left. Chai asked him to bite her again, but she felt like this bite was different. Of course, it was because he didn't actually bite her. This moment made Yoon remember his past. He used to watch Chai's work with his grandmother, who wished that her granddaughter wouldn't work so hard just to help her. She made Yoon promise to take care of Chai when she was no longer around. When Yoon took his grandmother's hands, they were as cold as Chai's were now. That's when he asked Chai to take some tests and to take a 2-hour break for them. She agreed and went to her presentation, where HN wished her good luck. Not long after, Leon arrived, and Yoon thanked him for what he had done, but Leon asked if Chai remembered everything when he bit her. Did she lose her memory? She confirmed it, though she didn't understand why. Even knowing that he was a vampire, she accepted him and asked him to keep the secret. Days later, she told Yoon that she had taken the tests, and the doctor said she was fine. The headaches were likely due to stress, but Yoon suggested she get another opinion from another doctor. Chai wondered if she was a problem for him, especially since he was so busy and couldn't bite her every week. She then received a message from Minji showing her some comments that claimed Chai had seduced Yoon and that she was unattainable for him. All the comments attacked her. Minji called her to check on her, mentioning that Daeon had once said something similar to what had been posted. That made Chai remember what she had been told in the bathroom. She thanked Minji for being her friend, but decided that now she needed to find out who had posted those comments. On the other hand, Sarah also wanted to call her friend Chai, but didn't dare. Meanwhile, Jun was pleased with the negative comments Chai was now receiving, saying she deserved it. A little later, Yoon arrived at Chai's house with Leon. While Chai wasn't paying attention, Yoon hugged her and gave her a little bite. Soon after, they started talking about the rumors. Chai told him that she didn't feel like she had to face everything alone anymore, because she now had friends who cared about her, and Yoon was by her side. That was why she didn't care about what others said behind her back. Yoon then asked if she remembered the program they had been invited to, and Chai responded that she did, but because of everything happening, he might say they couldn't go. However, Chai insisted that she would go. Yin, worried, asked if she wouldn't feel uncomfortable, but she reassured him, saying that it was a great opportunity to clear up the controversy. They both decided to work hard to make sure the rumors would disappear. The big day arrived for the couple's paradise shoot. At the airport, Yoon was already there with a smile, greeting Chai. He told her that he had missed her, and she smiled back, saying she had missed him too. Yoon thought she was talking about him, but actually she was referring to her beloved vampire, Yoon. Suddenly, Chai greeted Ka, who waved at her happily. Sarah then said to Chai that they looked great together. Jin chimed in, saying it felt like a school trip, but Chai corrected him, saying it was actually a couple's trip. On the plane, Yoon was deep in thought. He wondered why Chai hadn't seemed sad when she saw Ka Jin together. He asked if she was nervous, and she said a little, but mostly she was excited because it was her first time flying and she would visit a place famous for honeymoons. When she said that, Yoon imagined their own honeymoon, which made her blush. She quickly told him she had watched videos to make sure everything would go well, and he smiled, saying, "My girlfriend is amazing." Both of them were happy, but June, on the other hand, was furious. Once they arrived at the event location, they were told to change clothes, and in 3 hours they would meet at the pool. Once there, they began preparing, welcoming the 4 most iconic couples in the entertainment world. They explained everything about the contest and what Couples Paradise had in store. They were told that the perfect honeymoon wasn't within everyone's reach, as only one couple would have the chance to win this amazing trip. And so began the first challenge, which was for the men, and they had to be in swimsuits because the challenge took place in a pool. June, the vain one, walked out thinking that, even though it was a couples event, his good physique would make everyone fall in love with him. However, he didn't count on the vampire stealing the spotlight with his spectacular entrance, looking like a god. The first challenge was a contest to see who could make their opponent fall first, and so the match began. Jun and Yun faced each other, but when Jun was ready to attack, he was surprised to find that Yun had already gotten ahead of him. Jun had been distracted by silly thoughts, and Yun won. But not satisfied with losing, Jun started shouting that he was drowning. Yun rushed to help him but reassured him that everything would be fine because the pool wasn't deep. The funniest moment was when Chai stretched out her hand with a towel, and June, thinking it was for him, acted all proud, but no. She didn't even smile at him. Instead, she saw Ka and remembered she was with her. She walked over and told him to behave, as he was embarrassing her. It was then announced that Yun won the first challenge. Chai was so happy she ran to hug her vampire and blushed when she realized she had hugged him without any clothes on. The next challenge was for the women, and it involved hopping on one foot. Chai, and 2 other women participated. Jun wasn't even happy supporting Ka while Yun was cheering for his girlfriend. Suddenly, Sarah almost fell and was about to hurt herself, but she was saved by Yun, Yun's representative. She thanked him, but was taken aback by how handsome he was. She didn't know who he was until Yun approached him, and then she realized he was Yun's representative. It was announced that Chai won the second challenge. The third event was a strength test, and June thought it would be easy for him, but as soon as the challenge started, he couldn't handle it and fell to the ground because it hurt his most important part. June didn't even know what happened, but with every ridiculous moment, he just looked more and more foolish. Luckily, after that, they had a short break. Chai had the chance to chat with her lovely friend Ka, and they took a small walk along the beach. Ka asked if she was really dating Yun. Chai wondered why she was asking, and Ka mentioned that it was strange how suddenly she was with him. Before Chai could answer, they were interrupted by the event organizer, who told them that they were starting the cooking challenge. They all gathered in the kitchen, and Yun and Chai were cooking together. They were the couple everyone admired. They asked Chai what she knew how to cook, and she happily mentioned some delicious dishes. They then asked Yun if she knew how to cook, and she happily replied that no, she was better at eating. Yun hugged her and said he would keep cooking delicious meals for her. How sweet. But Jun wasn't feeling so great. He was furious because, since he didn't know how to cook, they made him wash vegetables. To make things worse, he was washing them with soap, which had the other girls laughing. Ka, though, was embarrassed by what June was doing. To everyone else, June had a talent, making them laugh. Meanwhile, Leon was rehearsing his music video, but he seemed distracted, remembering everything Yun had told him about the bite. Chai was so distracted that she decided to take a break. Her friend asked if she was okay, and he suggested that she might be like this because of Yun. Leon then asked if anyone knew of a human who had been bitten by a vampire and didn't lose their memory. His friend told him that yes, that had happened before, and Leon was truly surprised.